Hello again. So today I am actually going to be making lunch. The other day I'd already made it, so I was just telling you, look, today we're going to cook something. Not that these videos are necessarily about cooking or anything like that, but today one of the things that I do want to talk about is the idea of diet, but the idea of being on a diet. And it seems to be the worst thing in the world to be on a diet. You go somewhere, or it's happened to me loads of times. I go somewhere and there's just like loads of food on offer, and I choose what I eat. I don't just like load up the plate with any old crap. And people are like, "Ooh, you on a diet?" It's like, well, I don't know. I'm not really on a diet. I'm particular about what I eat. I mean, if you're walking down the street and see a dog tail on the floor with like a peanut sticking out, and you don't eat the peanut, are you on a diet? It's like just the idea of getting your head round. I don't just stick compulsively any food that I see in front of me into my mouth. If that's the definition of being on a diet, then yeah, I'm on a diet. But everyone should be on a diet. I think we've gone past the point of where we're acting like animals. If I take my dog out and there's a particularly nice piece of peanut sticking out of a turd, he might actually try and eat it. I don't know if that says more about my dog or just dogs in general, So, given this is a kohlrabi, by the way, I've never seen one before until recently. Very nice, I love them. So the idea of actually being on a diet, if you want to have any kind of concept of maintaining your weight or being healthy and stuff, then you are going to have to give serious consideration to what you eat. It's not just about can you stay thin or whatever. I mean, my son at the moment, he's 10 years old and he can literally eat anything. I get the feeling that I could just feed him bags of sugar and he'd still be ripped. But that's probably not going. I mean, I hope it does last for the rest of his life, but it probably won't. So there comes to a time, especially the usual thing of the talk about middle-aged spread and stuff like that. It usually gets to most of us where you can get by eating crap, and there comes a time in your life where you start getting fat. Which fortunately, or perhaps unfortunately for me, that never happened. Because I could never eat crap. When I was a little kid, I was like a little tubby little kid. And why? Because, well, I just act like a little kid. I'd get sweets off me nan and she'd feed me, and I'd go there all the weekends, and whenever I could, I'd buy sweets and things like that. Because as a child, you like that. So I'm not saying that we don't have to fight our natural urges or things like that, but a little bit of control, given that we're adults, it goes a long way. But apart from that, given that when we're on a diet, what are we going to eat? Because there's lots of diets with surnames. You've got like the carnivore diet, or the what have we got? The paleo diet, the keto diet, the bulletproof diet. There's lots of diets that you can be on. The Scarsdale diet, the primal diet. I mean, apart from the carnivore diets, I think I've tried them all. And the thing about diets is that they all work, at least at the beginning. Which is like, how can that be? Because some of them promise things like, well, if you eliminate this type of food and then your body starts doing such and such, like if you get into ketosis and things, and your body starts burning ketones, and that means that you'll burn up all your fat and you'll look great and ripped and all that. And it's like, yeah, that works. It certainly does. But then, if you overeat, then you'll get fat. or the whole thing of just you do X gimmick for a while and then you lose weight. Well, you probably will at the beginning, but how sustainable is this? And the thing is, if you're just relying on some kind of weird hack to lose 20 kilos or something like that, then you're never really going to get in control. Because the point is, going back to what I was saying last time about self-ownership, if you're not, it's like the most basic thing in the world to just be in control of what goes in your mouth. And if you can't even manage that, then, what hope is there? I mean, I'm not saying that it's dead easy or anything, but it's something that, if you don't even think about it, if you just don't, like I said last time, in that dark space, in the quiet space in your mind, and you just listen, and like you say, am I in control of what I put in my mouth? If you're not even in control of that, what hope have you got? It's kind of the place that you do need to at least get there. So I mean, like I said, it's not easy. I've been overweight. I've been overweight for probably most of my life. I mean, certainly as a child, I was a little fatty. I mean, I say that now, like, you see kids on the street and now they're like really obese. There was hardly any obese kids about when I was little. I mean, there was some, but not many. Like in my school year, there was probably like 2, out of like over 100. Well, 2 that I can think of anyway. I don't know about the girls, maybe there was a few girls as well. But not many, it's not like there was loads and loads, not like now. I mean, even in my son's class, there's not many kids who you'd actually think are thin or at the right weight. Most of them are just like a little bit fat, but they're alright, if you compare them to everything else. I think that's why now everything gets measured in percentiles. So it's that you don't have to say, excuse me love, you're fat, your kid's fat. It's like, no, well, you do realise that he's in the 90th percentile of weight. I mean, even if he was twice as heavy, he'd still be in like the 100th percentile and just moving it up for all the other little fat kids. Yeah. So, it's something I think needs to be thought about a bit. And it's something that's worth investing the time in, of trying to figure out what's a good way for you to eat. Because it's like the most basic minimum thing that, there's a Stoic concept, isn't it, that you shouldn't worry about what you can't control. But surely you can control what goes in your mouth. And if you can't, then something a bit crazy is going on in your life. So, just as it's not like, sometimes we need little life hacks and sort of pseudo gimmicks to help us out to be able to, sort of fake it till you make it. And so one of the diets, the first ones that I actually seriously tried out. In fact, I think it was the first book I ever bought on Kindle. And so we're talking 12 years ago, something like that, maybe longer, 13, 14, I don't know. And it was called, I can't remember how I stumbled across it, but it probably had something to do with the internet. But anyway, there was a book called The No S Diet. And so it's, if I can remember, it's something like no snacks, no sweets, no seconds. There might be some other else, unless it's on an S day. and then inside the cover it says and sometimes. So the idea is, so it's no second, so the point is, you get out a plate, and that's all you're going to eat, what fits on the plate for each meal. So, you know, you just load up your plate, load up, but you know, you can even, I think the guy's called Reinhardt something Ryan, I don't know, anyway. I might actually put it in the link, because you can still buy it, the guy's still going. And so I tried this out just because, you know, I was, it was like, I got the Kindle for Christmas or something, and I was feeling really fat. And I probably was, I was in like a good, like 15 to 20 kilos heavier than I am now. And, you know, total dad body type of thing going on. And so I just tried it out. And so you don't really alter how you eat at all, apart from the fact that you don't snack, you don't drink alcohol and things like that. We can't at the weekend. And you just go through your day. You eat 3 meals a day and just on one plate. And it totally works. And like, why does it work? Well, because if you're fat, it's probably because you're overeating, you know, unless there's in the very rare case that you've got some kind of, you know, medical thing going on with your thyroid or something. It's the most likely reason is that if you're fat, you just eat too much. I mean, forget about exercise and all that. I mean, you do need to do exercise. Exercise is very important. But like you say, you can't outrun a bad diet. Because you just can't. I mean, if you look at the amount of calories that you burn doing exercise, it's not that much. You know, like, what can you burn? Like 200, 300 calories in a session. And if you think about it, it has to be like that, because otherwise we'd have died millions of years ago, the species, because every time we did something, you'd be like, oh, so tired, can't move. Eating by a lion. You know, and also like the whole thing about, it is all about what you eat. I mean, in the 20th century, this is some marinated tofu that I did. I haven't tried it, so it could be horrible, but I'll say it's nice anyway. You know, in the 20th century, when we've had like modern, you know, we've had cameras and things like that, like when a concentration camp or something has been liberated, like you see all the poor bastards coming out, they're all like, you know, being starved to death. What you never see is like someone coming out and, you know, who's fat going, you know what, it just doesn't matter what I eat, I just can't lose the weight, I just can't lose a gram. No, that never happened ever. Because it doesn't matter. You know, if you're being starved to death, you're going to die. No. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. So, you know, eating is directly related. Although it sounds crazy to have to say it. You know, if you eat less, you're going to lose weight. So that's how this like no-S diet thing is about. It's just basically, by hook or by crook, you're going to be restricting your calories. Because you're just obviously overeating. And so if it's on your, if you're only limiting yourself to one plate, then that's all you're going to eat. And so you try that for a week, and it works. It's amazing. But then if you're like me, and you're kind of a person who sort of like pushes the rules a bit, when you get to the weekend, because at the time I don't drink anymore. I gave up drinking like 7 years ago or something. I'll talk about that in another video, probably. So I get to the weekend, and and I'd drink lots. I'd buy, like in Spain, most of the cans of beer that you buy are like the little 330 milliliter beers. And like you can, if you get the supermarket brand, you can get like a big box of 30 or something, 24, 30, whatever, for like not much money, because like alcohol's dead cheap in Spain. It's like for, you know, €6 or something like that, you can get like 24 cans of beer. And there were weekends when I'd make it onto me third box. So that's like 50, at least 50 beers having been drunk at the weekend. So as you can imagine, when I got to that point, I wasn't losing all that much weight. But you can, that can keep you sort of steady, for the time and stuff, if that's what you're looking to do. So we did that for a bit, and it was good. And then I fell off the wagon and started putting weight on again, and I went through not being on a diet, which was basically just sticking anything in my mouth whenever I wanted, which is not like a good way to live. I mean, bearing in mind, like, I'm a dad at this point, so like you've got lots of things going on, and I think my wife was pregnant with our second child at this point, so it was like, I was busy and doing stuff, and then like the second one comes along, and you've got 2 kids, and we had like, my kids are like 2 years apart, so I had like a newborn and a 2-year-old. So that was nice and stressful. So you just like, any downtime, you go, I'll have a beer, or I'll have a pizza, or I'll do this, I'll do that. And you just need to, you've got to sort of grow up a little bit and get that under control. So then I actually did start getting interested in nutrition and what's a good way to eat and things like that. And hold on, let's just let the dog out to go nowhere. Sorry about that. So, but I was still looking for some kind of hack around, because I didn't really know what I was doing. I mean, I don't know. Although you'd think that it's the easiest thing in the world, I was like clueless of like, what am I supposed to do? So I stumbled across somehow Dave Asprey, like the bulletproof guy, the bulletproof exec and all stuff like that. And I think at that time he wasn't really, I mean now he's got loads of products and stuff, but at that time there was nothing really, he was selling like his bulletproof coffee, because his like shtick is that you be high performance exec and all stuff like this, and he's allergic to mold or something, and so like you buy his coffee and it's really pure and there's no mold in it, because apparently loads of coffee got mold in it and all this. Anyway, the bulletproof diet is basically, it's like an upgraded paleo, so you eat like a lot of fat and no carbs, well not no carbs, no, certain types of carbs, not, you don't go mad on your carbs. And everything's all clean and things like that, so you're careful, he's very careful about like what, so you definitely don't eat gluten obviously, because that's like, the paleo diet. I don't eat gluten now, I try not to, because it doesn't agree with me, even though I'm not like a celiac or anything like that, it's not a good thing. Anyway, I tried this diet, if you want to look it up, it's all free on the internet, do bulletproof diet, whatever. And the first, so he's on Joe Rogan, right, and he's explaining, you be fat, you do is coffee, like you have your coffee with like about 90 grams of butter or 70 grams, whatever, for breakfast. And I was just like, at the time, I was just thinking, if you eat fat, you get fat, which turns out not to be the case if you're eliminating like loads of carbs and like not eating sugar and stuff like that. And so I tried this, and I thought, well, it's not going to kill me if I do it in a week, but I'm sure I'm going to like end up with cholesterol problems and all stuff like this. And so the first day of just like eating paleo, getting most of my calories from fat and stuff like that, I actually lost in the first day 2.5 kilos, which I couldn't believe. And then the next day I lost another like 2 kilos, and then the next day another like kilo and a half or something. And in the first week I lost like something like 7 kilos or something, and I just couldn't believe it. Like, what, this is amazing. Where's this been all my life? I mean, now looking back, I know that it's probably like 7 kilos of just like water and inflammation. That's what it all was. But you know, it was a start. And so I started eating like that for the longest time. I mean, you know, or like trying to eat like that. And so I managed to get like from, I don't know, 86 kilos down to like, I don't know, 75 or something like that. And more or less maintained. But the thing is, when you're eating like that, your body is kind of, you know, it's quite sensitive to bad food. So like you literally, when Christmas came around or whatever, I just like shoot up. And at the time I was also drinking as well. So although you can have like certain types of, you know, on the bulletproof diet you've got to have like clean things. So like, you know, vodka and stuff like that's okay. But you know, you definitely can't have beer because the gluten, and you know, wine's got loads of toxins in it and all stuff like this. But yeah, so every time I sort of like fell off the wagon slightly, I'd put on like 6 kilos, like in 3 days or something, and then I'd have to get back on, and you know, it would be a slow thing. So I never really, you know, I think doing that diet, I've probably in total lost, I don't know, 100 kilos or something like that, because it was just, you know, lose the weight, go back, lose the weight, go back. And the thing is, the reason that was happening anyway is because I wasn't in control. You know, I didn't have my mind in the right space. I was just like going through the motions of, you know, let's just do this hack and that life hack. And then I went from the bulletproof. I think then I went on to, what's his name? Abel James, like so the fat burning man. And like he was like a similar type of diet, but it is just like paleo as well, but not nowhere near as strict as like the bulletproof one. And so I did that for a while, and that, you know, that was okay as well. But I've never again seen the massive fat loss that I saw from like the first few days of doing the bulletproof diet. But I think that was probably a lot to do with just the way my body was just a complete tip, like a complete mess. And so anything that I did just made it so much better. And from then on, I haven't gone so bad. And so, yeah, you've got all these diets, and I mean they're good, and it's definitely a step towards getting control, and you know, like I said, fake it till you make it. And you know, there's the primal diet, which is Mark Sisson's maybe. You know, and that's more or less, you know, it's the whole thing. You know, all these people have got books and stuff, and you read that, and most of it's the same, like paleo thing of like if you eat the wrong type of carbs, you know, it's all to do with like insulin sensitivity and stuff like this. And you know, so if you eat in a certain way, you're less likely to, even if you overeat slightly, you're less likely to put fat on. And so, you know, I mean, it does work, but like you go onto YouTube and try and figure out what's the best way to eat, and it's just, you know, there's so many ways, so many diets, so many things. I mean, and a lot of people are all trying to sell you stuff. So I mean, I mean, right now, I stumbled across this, well, I mean, sort of getting a bit more on track. So like, I sort of stopped following these diets and just basically kept an eye on how much was I eating, how full am I, how much exercise am I doing, you know, and just steer away. You know, I tend not to eat like pasta and rice and stuff like that. You know, I don't eat bread, and I do at the weekends sometimes, you know, like I'll eat a pizza or something. But you know, there's no mystery to this. If you're not like going mad on your calories and you're like, you know, if you're eating a lot of sugar and pasta and stuff like that, you're going to be very hungry and also eating lots of calories, and it'll make you fat. So not so long ago, I stumbled across a thing that Tim Ferriss does called the slow carb diet, which is like, it's just basically it's kind of similar. You're not eating sugars, and in fact, you don't eat rice or anything that's got like a high glycemic index. But what you do eat is like a lot of legumes, so like legumes, lentils and stuff like that. And that fills you up, but you've got a low, you don't spike your insulin and stuff like that, and so you can just live a normal life eating stuff like that and not get fat. And that's sort of very helpful for me, because I don't want to have a struggle of, oh, what can I eat, what can't I eat. I don't want my brain to be so engaged in like the minutiae of what am I going to eat today, because it's just tiring. If you don't get into some kind of pattern, then you're not going to be able to keep it up. So it's kind of nice. I like the idea of just being able to eliminate a bunch of foods that I'm just not going to eat, because that way I can just like automate. Not that I want to go through the whole of my life like as a automaton, but it's nice certain areas of your life. It's nice to just like, I don't have to think about that. I can just do this. So, but what's the whole key to all this? I mean, obviously the key is like being in control and saying, this is what I'm going to eat, or this is what I'm not going to eat, and I'm in charge, and I take responsibility for that. So I think another time maybe I'll talk about, what does it mean to take responsibility in your life? It doesn't mean that you blame yourself for everything, but you take responsibility. This is my choice, this is what I'm going to do. So, my lunch is nearly ready, so I'm going to be drilling this to a close. You'll get to see, maybe, if you can see, if I don't spoon it all out onto the floor. This is what I'm going to eat. So it's cauliflower and, what was it called? Kohlrabi. I put some coriander in there. There's some shiitake mushrooms. I started it all off with a knob of butter. And because I'm not scared of fat. And I'm going to add some lentils. Big half kilo lentils when it was dry. Don't know how much it is now, loads. A few spoons of this. And this was my lunch. And it just so happens to all go on one plate, but like, if you think about it, how would it not all go on one plate? How can you eat it if it's not all on one plate? And that's that for today, I think. So next time I cook lunch, maybe I'll do another video. So see you then.